What's up, guys? Welcome to the Zapata brand with George Zapata. I am George Zapata, and it's Boxing and Bagels Sunday, as always. And with me this week, it's just sliding into the picture now. It hasn't been a minute, but I'm honored to have him, as always. Big P, Percy Crawford from the VIP Crew YouTube channel, and he got his own little things going on in his world. What's going on, Big P?
Oh, man, not a whole lot. Same old same. Great to be back. And congratulations to you, man, on the Zapata system. I definitely want to talk to you and interview you about that, man. Good stuff.
Oh, boy. 30 years, finally. A 30-year overnight success there. It took a while to put together. And even now, it's a little difficult because the coding and stuff, it's easier now because of ChatGPT and Grok. But putting it together is still a pain in the ass. It's a lot of work.
Hey, better late than never, man. And if anybody gonna get it figured out, I know it's you, brother. So congrats.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm trying as best I can. But speaking about people trying to figure it out, last night Manny Pacquiao stepped back into the ring at 46 years old, trying to become the first ever to go from the Hall of Fame to world champion, and taking on Mario Barrios, someone who couldn't figure it out last night. Possibly, and we talked earlier off air, possibly the worst champion right now, world champion, is Mario Barrios. What do you think of the fight?
I think the intrigue, I think everyone was intrigued for the Pacquiao aspect of it. I personally didn't think the fight was great. I thought it was okay, mainly because Pacquiao kind of kept us engaged, and you kind of had that hopeful thought moment. Not even if you were a Pacquiao fan and wanted him to win, just to see the outcome. I thought it would have been poetic justice. George Foreman won the title at 45. He passed away. Pacquiao 46, and they called it a draw, which wasn't a robbery, but I thought Barrios literally handed Pacquiao the draw because that was his fight to lose. I think Abner Mares made a great point during the telecast. He said Barrios would find something that worked and literally abandon it. And that was the fight in its entirety.
You know, that's something I didn't understand. I looked at it, and there was a point in that, I think it was the 11th round, where he really came on strong, Barrios did. That's saying something because it wasn't even much. Came on strong, and then he let him off the hook. I'm like, what are you doing? And even at that whole fight that was going, Pacquiao was as bad as Barrios was. Okay, he was just really bad. He didn't really do much. If you're getting out punched by a 46-year-old man, you got issues.
Yeah.
So in professional boxing,
you're 30,
when you're 30, yeah, he just was moving his head a little bit, not doing much. But there was a time there where I said, wow, Pacquiao looks really sloppy. He was missing his feet. And I was getting killed in the comments about how Pacquiao's power, he felt his power. Pacquiao's feet were off the ground when he was throwing some of these punches. There was just nothing there. I didn't know why I didn't know what Barrios was thinking, even in the corner.
Pacquiao's legs didn't look great. His balance didn't look great. Even his flurries were just arm punches. It's not that, and he's 46, so obviously it's not going to be 30-year-old Pacquiao, but I just thought there was so much Barrios could capitalize on that he left on the table. I personally thought he could have beat Pacquiao with just a jab. When he was jabbing, it looked great. Dropping occasional right hand behind it. I thought he did some okay body work at times, but I just thought he left so much on the table. He was lucky to get a draw, to be honest, and keep his belt. And if you look at Bob Santos, when the decision was announced, he knew they were lucky. He was excited. He was thrilled about a draw with a guy that was 16 years older than his fighter. I didn't like Barrios' demeanor. I didn't like his approach. I thought he showed, I don't even know if showing him Pacquiao too much respect is the right term. There was one point, I think, in the second or third round where Pacquiao was telling him get his punches up. And I'm like, dude, throw punches. The ref is saying fight. And Bob Santos said, don't let him ref the fight. Don't touch gloves no more. And he literally just
touched the gloves the next round. Extremely frustrating. It was just so frustrating to see that you said he left so much on the table. There was just no oomph in there. Even the announcers were like, there's nothing here. But in the beginning, okay, so I'm going to take this back a little bit to where you saying that he was lucky to get a draw. That was, I think, best case scenario for number one, the casino, and number two, for Pacquiao. because it gives him something else. Because there's no possible scenario that I saw that Manny was going to lose a decision, even though I gave it to Pacquiao. Yeah, I did give the fight to Pacquiao. I thought he'd win. Enough. Just did enough. And that's saying something, because there was some rounds I was just like, I just got to give it to Pacquiao because Barrios did nothing. So best case scenario, right, happens that you could kind of maneuver Manny a little bit more, push him a little forward without the belt, because I don't think that would be good. Because if you want to unify, you got to fight Norman Jr. or Boots, which would be a total disaster.
Absolutely.
But do you look at, there's two questions I'm going to ask you. Number one, first things first, rematch. Do you want it, or do you think it's going to happen?
Do I want it? No. Do I think it's going to happen? Given the fact that I don't think there's a whole lot you can do with either guy. I mean, when Boots and Norman's name was brought up prior to the Pacquiao fight coming to fruition for Barrios, you know, he kind of laid on, hey, I'm a new father, I'm enjoying fatherhood. And then Pacquiao's name came up and he was all of a sudden motivated to train. So I think Barrios is moving very carefully with the way he accepts fights anyway. So that being said, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of fights you can lure him to with some of the other champions. So Barrios is probably going to be screaming for it. Pacquiao will probably be screaming for it, but I don't know if the audience will be screaming for it. To me, I think, like I said, maybe it was the allure of Pacquiao. I saw people kind of saying it was a good fight. I didn't see that. I thought it was a lackluster, okay fight at best, but I wasn't blown away by it. So I don't know what the audience would, if the audience would prefer a rematch, but I definitely don't want to see it.
All right, so here's the second part of this question, and this is where it gets interesting. You know, Barrios would be wanting it. Pacquiao would be wanting it. There was rumors of Pacquiao versus Mayweather. Now, I'm going to take this a different route. You had a great relationship with Floyd Mayweather, one of the ones that followed him in his prime when he was there. You were with him, fight hype at the time when you were there. So you know Mayweather. You know how he is. Al Heyman controls PBC. Wouldn't it be something if Mayweather just said, you know what? I could be Barrios. I could be the Hall of Famer that comes out and becomes the first one to become world champion. Wouldn't not be the scenario, because he would want up Pacquiao to have Mayweather slide right in, and all of a sudden he becomes champ of the world, because he would beat the brakes off of Barrios. He'd beat the brakes off of Barrios if he was 65.
Not out of the question. And it would set up a huge, in today's term, a huge rematch with Pacquiao. Here's what I'm learning, GZ. We have to understand and almost accept the fact that the sport we love of boxing is not so much sport as it is entertainment nowadays. You see the thing with Clarissa Shields and Layla Ali. You see Logan Paul getting in the ring. Jake Paul getting in the ring with Usyk after his big win. We almost have to accept the fact that boxing has become more entertainment than sport. That being said, that scenario you just gave is probably more than likely to happen. I think the travesty in it all is there's going to be a lot of deserving people who deserve a Mayweather and Pacquiao payday that's not getting it, because Barrios seems like he's about to double up.
Now, it's funny. This is a great segue for my next question I had on that. I attended UFC 317. I was there all week. I was filming a documentary with Kevin Iole, with him retiring and that. And I kind of saw behind the scenes a lot of the stuff going on. I went to Slap. We covered Slap for that Friday. I'm going to tell you, every TikToker was there that I know. All the Instagram, my kids were freaking out because I would send them pictures. I'm like, who's this guy? Freaking out, the people I saw. They were the people who were asking the questions. They were the people with the cameras. They were the people getting priority. They were sitting in front of the media.
Yep.
Literally 2, 3. And then I started looking at now I'm not saying that that this is where they're going. I'm not saying fake. Then I started looking at the production. Then I started saying Nick Khan is at the top of this whole UFC thing. They have all these kids involved. They want eyes on the views on the product. Then I started seeing the graphics, just like WWE, with the way it is. This is entertainment. This is entertainment because the almighty dollar. It is not, I think, and I don't know if you feel it the same way I do. Media's going away. And this is a party that we're not invited to.
No, you're absolutely right. Listen, I mean, We're just pinpointing combat sports. We're just saying combat sports is turning to entertainment. Hopefully, with the exception of the predetermined results like that. Well, I don't know many people I can talk to who are college football enthusiasts that are still calling college football a sport. It's entertainment. When you factor in NIL and unlimited transfers and open transfer portals, like you said, because of money, this is all just becoming entertainment. I'm not even as invested in like, oh, my team lost, that sucks. I watch it on Saturdays and Sundays because it's entertainment. And that's football, basketball, and combat sports. That's what it's become.
Do you think that we should go back to the because I think with Dana getting involved in the sport, like you just said, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, John, yesterday, and we were talking, and he said, I can't tell you the last time I watched the Celtics. I said, man, the Celtics, because there's such a turnover. People go as college sports, turnover. They're in and out. So he doesn't have a team to root for. It doesn't seem like there is a guy that we get behind anymore. They're missing that. And now with them trying to get involved in boxing and try to be a league, I don't know if it's good. And that leads me to my next question. Pay-per-view going out the window. Turkey Al-Sheikh announced that the zone is going to be free. Now, no extra pay-per-view. Doesn't this hurt the boxers itself?
I think it all does, man. I think, the no pay-per-view model hurts the boxer. I think the entertainment value hurts the boxer because guys are freely skipping the line now. There was a time, GZ, where it was like, hey, man, if so-and-so comes out of retirement, he's a legend. Of course he's going to skip the line. Who would have thought we would see a heavyweight unification bout like Usyk Dubois yesterday and Jake Paul enters the ring? This is where we are. How many people, if that fight ever happened or came to fruition or was in the talks, how many people would Jake Paul be skipping in the line? But that's the entertainment thing now. So everyone, in terms of the guys directly involved in the sport, the fighters, everyone's affected by it negatively, in my opinion, because it's what sells. It's almost like music now. A few years ago, I remember saying, like, will we ever get back where good music is good music? No, because the streaming system says flush out as much music as you can, flood the market, and real artists don't rush their artistry like that. So that's where we are in music. That's where we are in fighting. That's where we are in sports. So no, you're absolutely right. I think everyone suffers. I mean, let's keep it real. GZ, should Pacquiao be number 5 in the WBC? Like, no, 46. He hadn't fought in 4 years, and he was ranked number 5 in the WBC strictly for that fight, strictly for last night's purposes.
And that actually makes Barrios look that much worse. I mean, you cannot tell me how bad he looked. He looked probably, that's the worst fight I've seen out of a world champion in, I can't tell you how long.
GZ, I know you haven't fought in a very long time, but could you imagine if your opponent says, my wife picked George Zapata? How does that not light a fire that should still be ignited Sunday morning?
It would definitely be an insult, and I would take it seriously and to say, hey, man, what if I get knocked out? I get knocked out, but you're not gonna punk me like that and have your wife pick it.
No, it's amazing when I see. I mean, Bernard Hopkins to me was one of the masters of, no matter how young the opponent was, he kind of drugged them into fighting his pace. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing the John Pascal fight, and I'm like, man, just let go, John. So I understand the enigma that is some of these guys. I didn't understand last night. I mean, Pacquiao was nowhere near 45-year-old Bernard Hopkins. I didn't understand last night at all.
And the other thing that you spoke on that I'll touch on it to our next subject, the unification bout, Oleksandr Usyk, Daniel Dubois. The other thing that I noticed, you texted me and you're like, yeah, it's heavyweight fight time. I'm thinking the heavyweight undisputed championship of the entire world in front of 90,000 people in Wembley Stadium. I'll give them that. But that just goes to show you it's on a Saturday afternoon. Like, this used to be a massive week-long event. I did my show. I didn't even realize that the fight was Saturday. This is how bad it's been.
My buddy called me, and I said, I always mess with him because he has a propensity to call me right when fights start. I said, here you go calling me when this fight starts. And he said, what fight? I say, dude, Usyk and Dubois in the ring, like they're about to touch gloves. And no, it's not on right now. He was on a bike ride. He literally had to rush to his house to see the fight.
That's not a good. That wasn't a good look. But let's get talking about the fight while we're at it here. Oleksandr Usyk proved again. Now I thought Dubois won the first fight. I thought that punch that he hit him with was right there. Maybe he gets up. I don't know if he does, but he got a lot of time to get up. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for that one. I thought Dubois had a chance here to say, okay, I'm going to show you what I did. Wasn't a fluke. Boy, wow, did he look bad. It wasn't good. It was a good fight, but he didn't look good. When he gets hit, it's like he looks like Jerry Cooney. His stuff starts flying all over the place.
No, absolutely. And I agree with you. I thought the first fight, the punch was on the belt line. Debatable whether Usyk would have been able to continue or not, but he took a lot of time. So if it was a legit body shot, I don't know if he recovers from that in 10 seconds, given the fact that he took all 5 minutes and I think plus some, with it being called a low blow. That being said, Dubois is one of those weird ones to me, man. I think if you have the right guy in front of him, he's always going to look a certain way, which is good. I think if you have the wrong guy in front of him, Oleksandr Usyk in particular, I think I saw Julian Williams, the former junior middleweight champion. And he said there's a place Dubois is willing to go in the ring, and that's his cutoff. Unfortunately, Usyk is always willing to take him past that. And I'm paraphrasing, but it was something similar to that. That's what I see. It's like Usyk is willing to go to a dark place that Dubois wants you to turn the lights on before he walks in the room. That's not the case. Usyk is a different guy, man. It took me a while to become a Usyk guy, but hey, Usyk's the real deal. Hats off to him. I love the fact that Oleksandr Usyk has ran it back with Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, and Tyson Fury. If you're from the UK, stay away from Oleksandr Usyk because he's collecting skulls, man.
Well, let me ask you: is he one of the top heavyweights of all time? And like I'm talking top, you're looking top 5, and that's all time.
I think you would have to start looking at that. I think you would definitely. It's a conversation to have. I mean, this is a guy who I still think is a natural cruiserweight. I think he looks a little. Not chubby or anything like that, but he definitely doesn't look in peak condition at heavyweight. I think he's a natural cruiserweight beating up giants at heavyweight. Anthony Joshua is not a small guy. Derek Chisora is not a small guy. We know Tyson Fury is not a small guy. And Daniel Dubois not only is a small guy, but he's a young heavyweight. And he's been on a hot streak. And Usyk ends all that. No matter who you are, what you got going, what streak you're on, Oleksandr Usyk has had the ability to just end all that, and that's impressive.
Do you think we'll ever see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua? That's the talk now, and with them drawing 90,000 at Wembley, this might draw over 100 if they do it over there.
It would be a travesty if we didn't, but it goes to that dark horse again, the guy we talked about earlier. You're hearing a lot of talks about Anthony Joshua being in talks with Jake Paul. If we don't get Wilder Joshua and or Fury Joshua, it's a travesty for this era of heavyweight boxing because at this point, it's not even about wins or losses. It's just making the fight happen. They've all lost. They've all been stopped or rocked or whatever. It just make the fights happen. And if, again, Jake Paul could skip the line and throw a monkey wrench in that, shame on boxing.
Any shot you think Jake Paul fights one of them?
If he does, he's going to get hurt badly.
You think so?
Yeah, Anthony Joshua, you're not going to put a Francis Ngannou, Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua is not an experimental fighter. He can still crack and he can still beat your ass. So if you put a guy in that's trying to learn on the job, Anthony Joshua hurts guys like that. This guy has Olympic pedigree. He's a heavyweight champion, with the exception of a few courage questions and some people questioning his determination. He could still fight. And the crazy part, you say how Dubois was all over the place. I didn't understand him keep lunging and reaching and getting his head over his feet because he got counted every time. If you watch the Joshua Dubois fight, right when he knocked Joshua out, Joshua was about to knock him out because he was making the same mistake. So that's something he needs to clean up. At this point, I don't even know if it's possible for him to clean it up. But if Jake Paul skips the line, I think they all hurt him, man. I don't think this is. I don't think either one of those guys are faded enough to lose to him.
Well, let's circle back to the topic of conversation there that we first started with Manny Pacquiao. Mm-hmm. When it's all over and it's done, let's say Manny ends it on this note. Let's just say he ended on this note. Did he affect his legacy at all?
No, because I don't think he's embarrassed himself yet. Even if you go back to the Ugas fight, which was 4 years ago, that was supposed to be Errol Spence. Pacquiao took that fight on short notice because Spence had the retina issue. I haven't seen a performance where I think Manny just embarrassed himself. The exhibitions are the exhibitions, but in terms of real fights that count on his record, I thought he looked slower. He looked bad against Ugas, but he didn't embarrass himself. I don't think he embarrassed himself last night. Honestly, man, I mean, you want to pick a night in combat sports where age wasn't a number. Gary Russell, 37, looked great. Usyk, 38, looked great. Pacquiao, 46, made a great account of himself. It was a one for the old guys last night.
Yeah, what does that say? What does that say for the prospects coming up, though, of boxers?
I think it says if you matchmake guys correctly for where they're at in their career, they can still have shining moments. Gary Russell threw one combination. I knew Castaneda didn't belong in there with him. Dubois, as we stated earlier, he makes so many mistakes. A fundamentally sound guy like Usyk is just not going to get caught with one big shot and put down by him. Manny Pacquiao, you said it, GZ. He probably fought the worst welterweight champion in the past 30 years. I don't know. I couldn't even think back that far. Who's avoided other formidable welterweight champions like Boots Enos, like Brian Norman Jr. And I think this is the problem when you avoid fights you're supposed to take. You could take a fight that looks great on paper and look even worse. Boots could have knocked Barrios out in 4 or 5 rounds, and it would have been a better showing than what we saw last night from Barrios.
I think maybe quite possibly Mayorga would right up there with what's his name last night?
With Barrios.
Or maybe
I would agree, but I mean, Mayorga got 2 wins over Vernon Forrest, who I thought very highly of. I don't think Barrios beats anything like a Vernon Forrest.
What about Gomez? Remember he knocked out beat Judah? That was his name.
Oh no, Carlos Baldomir.
Baldomir, that's it. Maybe him because he couldn't punch at all.
Yeah, Baldomir. I mean, I don't know anyone I would pick Barrios over based on that. I really don't, man. Like, I can't believe he did so little. He did so little. If he would have threw 50, 60 punches around and the judges just scored it a Dre, man, it is what it is. They got you. They didn't like what you were selling. He gave him a draw. He literally gift wrapped it.
That's the other thing. He was out punched. The one advantage he had wasn't power. And I do think he had more power than Pacquiao. He had every advantage except that he could have used. And the one thing he could have used was the stamina.
Yes.
He didn't use it. He didn't use that at all.
It's almost like he scared himself when he had success with something to not do it again. And that's so weird to me because even late, and I think Santos is a great trainer, but even late in the fight, where I thought Barrios was getting to the point where he needed to string together 2 or 3 rounds to hopefully pull out a potential draw or win. Before he got off the stool, so I thought Santos would give sound advice. And before he gets off the stool, he tells him, be careful, don't get caught. It's like, dude, stop telling him to be cautious. It's time to go. Yep.
It was in my live stream yesterday. It was round 6. I said, if he does not, because there were people I was watching in the chat were saying they had Barrios up 3-1. I'm like, he's got it, because I knew they were going to try anything they could. If it was a wider margin, it was very close. But if it was a wider margin, they would do anything they could to get that title to Pacquiao. I thought they would do anything they could because it would make for a perfect story. And then Mayweather comes in and that's what you got. Anything they could. And it was still, I said, he has got to put something together. And it just seemed like either he was intimidated, frozen, or something. Because that crowd was raucous for Manny. I mean, there wasn't a single guy cheering for Barrios.
No, Barrios had no fans there with the exception of maybe the handful of people that bet for him. And judges are human. Pacquiao would throw a fury that wouldn't land, and they would go nuts. So fans don't understand when they say, "Oh, I got Barrios up big," and dude, them flurries matter because Barrios is doing nothing. I thought he could have controlled and dictated the entire fight with a jab. Unfortunately, when he landed 2 good ones, he didn't throw another one for nothing. 2 or 3 rounds. You know what I compare it to? We both felt like Dubois landed a money body shot against Usyk. I don't think Daniel Dubois threw 1 body punch yesterday. Yeah. Same with Barrios. Like, dude, the jab is working, and you've thrown 3 around. I just don't get it.
Yeah, when I looked at it, the Pacquiao fight, I thought I said it on air. I said, this reminds me of Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler. I said, because they're going to try whatever they can to get it to Sugar Ray. And if it's close, people are going to be pissed. I'm going to say, I'm telling you, they just want, because money controls that. But that's the other thing I saw in Vegas. But money controls everything there. Yes. Money controls everything. There wasn't a lot of wagering on the draw. I'm not saying that they said, hey, let's get this a draw, but money controls so much shit in this world. And you look at it, you're like, man, even though it's wrong, and you think it's like, they're going to try to get it the way they want it. Their narrative is going to be, this is what we want. We want Pacquiao to go. So the draw, they're lucky they got it, because I would have given it to Pacquiao. I really would have. And that's not me being biased. I just would have given it to him.
The Keith Thurman cashed out on that. He had it a draw. And the crazy thing is there was an AI simulation of the fight, and they had it a draw, which
get the hell out of here.
It brings a whole nother aspect to what we're visually seeing, and that is scary to me.
Are you serious? They had it a draw?
Yes.
Wow, because I am a huge AI guy with my software and everything else, and the stuff that I like. I'll give you the quick example to go off topic. With my system that I put in, I literally did it yesterday. I took a picture, and I have stuff. It's not exactly neat of where it's supposed to be in the cooler. I took a picture. I said, tell me what's in this cooler to order. It got it down pretty close. I was like, holy shit. I said, oh boy, this is a whole nother thing.
So I got to ask you, man, obviously it's fascinating. Obviously it works. Mm-hmm. It's somewhat scary to you, man. It's got to be a little bit scary.
Okay. So I use this example all the time. If your great grandmother came here right now and you put the sprinkle dust on her grave, she popped up and she came here, she'd be scared of cars. She'd be scared of airplanes. She'd be deathly scared that you dated someone on the internet, stuff like that. So yes, it's in a different realm. The only caveat I think with this is the fact that you're going to lose a lot of jobs that we're used to manually doing. Okay. So that goes away. Where does the money come from? There's only 2 options I can see happening. There are jobs that are made that we can use the AI for people that are low level, knowledgeable. Now, I'm not saying, they're just people that don't have that kind of skill, that aren't great with math or aren't great with science. That's what it is, right? Your wife in the school district would know. This is some people that just aren't. They just don't like it, right? This would be the government's opportunity to employ UBI, where everybody gets a check and says, here you go. This is your check. Whatever you do on top of it is what you do. But this is your check. It controls the monetary market. It keeps it going. And if you notice, when this happened during the pandemic, even though they gave people money, it always flowed up.
Yeah.
The richest person that came out of the 2019 pandemic was who? Do you know?
I don't.
Louis Vuitton. Think about it. It's not a necessity. People want to wear the drip. They want it. They want that. So they went out and they got money, and they said, well, this money's going to be here for good. Let's just go. Not realizing that now there's a lot of Louis Vuitton bags you could buy real cheap right now, real cheap, because they're just selling them. This happened in 2008. Uh-huh. So do I think it affects that? Do I look for until it comes to the point where mom and pop shops can buy robots, which will be. And I talked to a guy who's a CEO of a very, very large franchise in the restaurant business. He said it's still 15 to 20 years away for mom and pops. McDonald's already got an R&D. Yes. You're looking at about 5 years. There's going to be shops with one manager running. It could be $1 trillion company by then. There's a couple $1 trillion companies, but McDonald's and Arby's, and they'll be trillion. Taco Bell, they'll be $1 trillion companies. So that makes the other guys trying to get up to the $1 million range. It's a very scary sight to know. But I will also say it's going to be normal for our kids. Maybe our kids' kids. It's going to be normal.
Of course, yeah.
That there's going to be no conversation between me. Like, one of the things in our shop that we really pride ourselves on is, I'm going to know your relatives. I'm going to know your kid's name. I'm going to know your dog's name. Something happens in your family, we're going to get together. We're going to put something over there to your family to make sure you're okay. There's going to be such less human contact. Like, I don't know the last time my kid walked into a shop and bought a donut and whatever. It's DoorDash. It's leave it on the porch. They're not calling. They're just going to text and it's going to arrive there. So that aspect, I think, is going away, but that's normal for our kids. And I think eventually that step out is going to be, and I know we've gotten way off topic, is an AI robot that's going to be someone's spouse. And here's why I say this. If you use Grok, the new Grok now, you could actually literally have a conversation with that person. That's scary to me, because he knows what I want. He knows whatever. Just boom, boom, boom. I'm going to do this for you. Don't worry about it, George. So when it comes to the point of them getting groceries, having the guy at the grocery store load it up into a truck that's autonomous and sends it to your house in the front, oh boy. I think the director is going to be the one who's going to make the money. The person who's the director of the system.
Of course.
That's why I'm getting to that. The doers, I think they're going to be gone. A lot of them are going to be gone. They're going to have to find. The doers are going to have to find a job. Now, if you're in HVAC, electricity, you got a long way to go. Refrigeration, you got a long way to go. Plumbing, it's the directors that are going to make the big money.
So push your kids towards trade schools.
I told my kid that there is a kid, there was an interesting article that came out here. There's a kid at Votech right now. The girl is 17 years old, making $77,000.
Wow.
She hasn't graduated yet. Wow. She's a welder, works at a big trucking company here. $77,000. It's an amazing thing.
Awesome, man. Trade schools is the way to go, man, because I think the more you attend universities, the more you're going to depend on technology, the more technology is going to eventually push you out the door. And we're always going to need mechanics, plumbers, AC and heating guys, always.
You either adapt or you go. And now, if you notice now, those white collar workers who were telling these tradespeople when they would get automated system, when they were packing the Gatorades in the Gatorade and they're like, oh, go get another job. All of a sudden, their jobs are in jeopardy now. And they're like, let's slow down. Well, no, it's coming back on you guys now. So nobody's safe.
Be careful what you wish for.
I know. Well, Big P, what do you got going on in your YouTube channel? What else you got coming down the pipe?
Oh, man. So obviously there was a UFC in New Orleans last night, so I'll probably do a recap on that. Dustin Poirier wrapped up his career. Unfortunately, it was on the loss. But him and Max Holloway just have great cage chemistry because they always put on entertaining fights. So we'll do a post-fight wrap on that. My buddy just interviewed, if you remember, you're a Jersey guy, so Steve Cunningham.
My God, USS.
Cunningham, just to talk about the happenings of boxing now and the way it shifted and turned, similar to what you and I talked about. So just staying busy, man. I've actually been enjoying interviewing a lot of 3- and 4-star high school kids who committed to schools. I just interviewed a guy committed to Mississippi State who will be a senior in high school this year, but he'll enroll at MSU in January. So that's the angle I'm starting to like. I like talking to these teenagers, man, and just giving them a voice, giving them a platform.
And that's an interesting angle. I like that because we have a group up here that does boxing shows, and the kids that are leaving our gym, going up there, it's because of the social media platform. We don't have that here. So yeah, it's good. That's a good angle. Good angle.
That's awesome. I love it, bro. I love it. Like, it's amazing how I guess you can call it media ready some of these kids are, and it's and I think it would help them with NIL, man. If you got a platform that you can tell people you can promote, whatever on. So yeah, it's a good deal, man. A lot of good things going on. Definitely got to talk to you soon because you got a lot going on, man. I'm very interested in the Zapata systems. I
don't know how in the world this got together, but it finally came 30 years later. I'm a 30-year overnight success, they say,
Awesome.
But we also, P, I want you to be aware and look on the lookout for my Kevin Iole documentary. I put it together. I'm going to send you a piece of it.
Yep.
I'm telling you, this is one of my proudest pieces I've done. I put this, and I just started doing this. It's something I want to get your opinion on. That way we could push it out and maybe I'll get on your channel there, give it a little promotion if you could.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw some little snippets you put up. I'm very intrigued by it, man. I can't wait to see it, bro.
All right, big man. Big P, as always, good to see you. Boxing and Bagels wraps up. Big P, we'll catch you on the rebound.
Man. Thank you, brother.
See you, brother.
Bye, bro.